Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another edition of Union Pine Sports Time. My name is Justin Blackburn, voice of Viking football. As always, here with head coach Matt Quinn. Coach, how we doing today?
I'm doing great, Justin. Coming off of a win. It's a great weekend. Thank you for having us.
That's right. First home win for the Vikings, and
Yes.
your first win at home, Coach.
Yes.
Congratulations
I
on
was
that.
super excited and glad to get that one out of the way. This community, this town, these fans, these parents, these kids, they all deserved a home win right there in front of our friends and family at Will Hoyt Stadium. So we were really excited to take care of that one on Friday night.
That's right, Coach. And I would say, couldn't get, much of a better effort from the Vikings. You guys took a 22-0 win over the Albemarle Bulldogs. So a shutout win at home, your first win at home, Coach. Would you like to, talk about?
Yeah, the first half was a little slow for the offense. The defense really stepped up and actually scored us our first 2 points off of a safety. And then after halftime, we made some adjustments on offense, fixed some of our mistakes, and come back out and put up 3 touchdowns. And our defense stayed strong there in the second half and kept that shutout, which was awesome to see our defense have a very, very good night.
Absolutely, Coach. Looking at some stats here, your Vikings hosted the Albemarle Bulldogs. It was youth football night at Will Hoyt Stadium. Once again, a 22-0 victory over the Bulldogs. The Vikings had a total offensive effort of 327 yards to the Bulldogs 78 yards. And, Coach, the Bulldogs had 0 passing yards in this game.
Yeah, we, the majority of our offensive yards came in the second half, but, this whole game we really want to praise our defense and give them the credit that they deserve because unfortunately most of this year has been people talking about our offense. Well, now it's time that they see our defense and they saw what we are capable of doing, and our defense got it together. 78 yards allowed in 4 quarters of football. That's amazing. That's an amazing effort. Our defensive backfield had a tremendous night.
Absolutely,
didn't have a single passing yard allowed, which I don't know if that's ever happened before. That's got to be a record at Union Pines for passing yards allowed in a game.
We're going to have to go to our historian, Mr. Davis, right?
Yes,
for that.
yes.
So, Mr. Davis, if you're watching this, we're going to be looking for some stats on the fewest amount of passing yards.
Yes.
I'm thinking this is going to be a record.
It's got to be the fewest. You can't have more. You can't have less than 0,
That's
right?
right. Can't have less than 0. We talk about that in the math class too. So here we go. Breaking this down for your offensive effort, Coach Justin Eberhardt, 17 attempts, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. He broke a 64-yard run there for a touchdown. Once again, he's back up there at the top, Coach.
Yes, Justin Eberhardt had a great night. All of our offensive effort really came in the second half, unfortunately. But, Justin kind of broke that thing wide open with that 64-yard run coming off the left side, making a man miss, and just outrunning everybody to the end zone.
That's right.
He had a very good night, averaged about 9 yards a carry. So Justin Eberhardt's just going to do what Justin Eberhardt does every week.
That's right. Hand him the ball and let that boy run. We also have Roy Board and Deloach. Deloach was in the backfield for a lot of the first half. I saw him taking a couple of snaps and stuff. And, Coach, I believe you ran a couple of plays out of the Wildcat formation. You had Deloach and Eberhardt in the backfield.
Yes. We tried to switch it up a little bit this week. We felt like we were going to be able to run the ball. So Rory took some snaps in our 2-back set. Deloach took some snaps out of the Wildcat. Our main focus was to establish the run game, and after halftime when we got everything clicking, our run game was fine. We've mentioned it before that we don't want to be a pass offense, we don't want to be a run offense, and this week we just wanted to focus on running the ball and what their defense was giving us, so we decided to run the ball, and we did a great job of blocking it up front and getting the yards that we needed to get.
Yeah, that offensive line, they had some great pushes and some very key moments and gave these backs a good little hole to run through. And also want to mention Deloach had a rushing touchdown there for us as well, so congrats to Deloach for that rushing touchdown. In our passing game, Coach, we had Isaiah Hampton, 5 receptions for 38 yards. We had Eberhardt out of the backfield for a couple of screen passes, and then Deloach there again with 2 receptions, 11 yards. So, more of a running effort, but still getting the ball into the air. And Isaiah Hampton stepping up, making some.
Isaiah Hampton, him getting a few catches there, that's pretty good to build his confidence. He's played solid all year long. He plays outside for us, so. Just seeing his production was awesome. Like you mentioned, we didn't really throw the ball a lot. We felt that we were going to be able to run the football this game, and that was the game plan that we went with. And luckily, it worked out for us. But our receivers are unselfish, and they block their tails off down in the run game. So they'll get rewarded later on in the future because of their efforts in the run game. That'll open up some more passing game stuff for us.
Absolutely, Coach. On to the defensive effort now. 11 of your Vikings with a registered tackle. And the man up at the top of the list when I checked was Sean Long with 4 tackles and an assist. I believe Sean plays a little cornerback for you in the secondary. I saw him all over the field.
Yeah, Sean Long did a great job playing defensive back for us Friday night. Like we mentioned before, 0 passing yards, so he obviously did something good there. 4 tackles and an assist from a corner spot is pretty impressive because he's got to rally to the ball and get there before the ball carrier goes down. So that's a great job by Sean Long. 11 of our defensive players had registered tackles, which is awesome. Everybody that got in, basically that started, got a tackle for us. So that's huge effort for our defense.
I believe this is about the 3rd game too that double-digit Vikings on that defensive part have registered tackles. So defense, man, we talked about the offense earlier, with the 62-point games and stuff, but that defense, guys, we see it in the stats, and now we get to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, it's the old cliche, offense scores the points, but defense wins the game.
That's right.
That really paid off this Friday night. Watching high-scoring games is fun for the fans and all that, but as a coach, watching a defensive shutout, man, it's a thing of beauty.
Yes, it is, Coach. Absolutely. On to this linebacking core here. We've got Kamal Fairley, Martin Smith, and Matt Green that make up that core. And looking at the stats there, they were in on 23 of the tackles that were registered during this game.
Our linebackers, we've mentioned them over and over and over. They're solid. They do what they're supposed to do. They get in the right spots, and they make the plays. And those 3 guys are all seniors and leaders, and they're doing a great job of taking this defense to the next level.
And this, kind of effort right here can't really happen unless that defensive line's putting in the work and making that initial push, because those guys have to give your linebackers a chance to get through the hole, get through the line, and
when you play a 3-man front on defense like we do, the defensive line has to do a lot of good things up front. Command double teams and free up those linebackers so they can run and make plays, and a lot of that credit goes to our defensive line. They did a great job on Friday night of making the offensive line work and freeing up our linebackers.
Very awesome, Coach. Keep going with this. We had 3 fumble recoveries in this game, 3 forced turnovers. Sean Long, David Stem, and then Chandler Barber. And I remember I was sitting up in the press box and I was looking, and the quarterback takes off for the Bulldogs and gets caught up in a little bit of a gaggle there and acts like he's going to go down. And then I see number 3 come out, boom, and he's got the ball in his hand, runs it around to the near side of the field, and I was like, how in the world did that happen?
Yeah, one thing that Coach Simmons, our defensive coordinator, and myself talked about prior to this week's game plan was focusing on turnovers and trying to force turnovers, and so we did turnover circuit every day at practice, and it paid off for us. And that one with Chandler was literally one of the drills we do is hold up and rip the ball out.
There you go.
Chandler made that happen, and Sean Long and David Stem also, falling on some fumbles is huge for us. That's really what we wanted to focus on defensively was, bringing the intensity and forcing some turnovers, and we did a good job of that Friday night.
Absolutely, we did, Coach. And once again, just to kind of wrap this thing up before we go into the highlights, the secondary, the Viking secondary, not allowing any passing yards in this game. And, I looked out on the field. I saw a lot of double coverage out near the sidelines. I saw good coverage there in the middle, and just everywhere.
Our safeties were doing a great job of getting over the top of those verticals. They get a lot of credit for that. Our corners played good leverage on receivers on the outside. So our defensive secondary did a great job Friday night, not allowing a passing yard. And, a lot of that credit goes to the defensive line and linebackers as well, because they're getting pressure on that quarterback and making him get out of the pocket and making him rush throws. So they get some credit for that as well. Our entire defense had a heck of a night.
All over the place, Coach. Awesome effort. So you ready to get to some highlights?
Let's get to the highlights.
Let's go. So coming back from the highlights, Coach, we're going to go ahead and jump into our players of the week, offensive and defensive player. And this week, Coach, we're giving some love to the big guys up front on both sides of the ball.
On both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line played very, very great on Friday night, and we were excited with the effort and the nights that they had.
Absolutely. And our timeout offensive player of the week, this is going to go to offensive lineman Andrew Butner, one of those leadership core guys. So go ahead and talk about Andrew's.
Andrew Butner plays left tackle for us. He's a senior. He's a leadership council member. The majority of our yardage in the second half came off of the left side, right off of his tail, and he was crashing things down and pushing defensive linemen out, and opening up holes for Justin. So that's why he is our timeout offensive player of the week, because of the way he blocked and his effort on the front on Friday night.
And if I remember correctly, Coach, from the beginning of the season, this was one of the guys that you were excited to see finally get in some action.
Yes, and he takes a lot of pride in Justin's rushing yards and how much that offensive line gives him.
Yeah.
And after Friday night, he said, "Coach, how close are we to 1,000?" And actually, Justin's a little over 900 now. So hopefully, with a pretty decent night next week, that offensive line can get their 1,000 yards for Justin.
Coach, that's incredible. So once again, our timeout offensive player of the week, that's going to be Andrew Butner. On to our Texas Roadhouse defensive player of the week. Giving some shout-outs to that D-line here, we've got Ryan Walker.
Ryan Walker's our Texas Roadhouse defensive player of the week. Didn't fill up the stat sheet with a lot of things, but what he did do is open up his linebackers. He played his assignment. He was unselfish. He did everything that he was supposed to do to make the defense work on Friday night, and that's why Ryan Walker is our Texas Roadhouse defensive player of the week.
Shout out to Ryan there. And Coach, we talked a little bit about it last week. You're in a fundraising effort now, and this is Touchdowns Against Cancer. And last week, each touchdown that your Vikings scored was worth $120.50. And your Vikings scored 3 times, 3 touchdowns. And so that's a total of $361.50 that's being donated to the St. Jude's Hospital for childhood cancer research.
Yeah.
Coach, that's amazing.
Awesome calls, and our parents and our family and our community and our kids have really jumped in to help raise this money. We've gotten pledges per touchdown. We've even gotten some one-time donations.
And if we include those one-time donations, Coach, we've so far raised up a total of $844 that's going to be donated to the St. Jude's Hospital.
$844. That's the goal for our team in the Touchdowns Against Cancer program. If you raise over 1,000, you get a plaque for being an All-American fundraising team. So we're trying to get to that 1,000 and be an All-American fundraiser team for Touchdowns Against Cancer.
Wonderful, Coach.
So with a good night on Friday night or some more one-time donations, we can get to that $1,000 mark. You can still go to the website and pledge for the next game, or just give some one-time donations that will help us get to our goal.
Absolutely, Coach. And even, from Friday night to today, we're looking at, some other people that have decided to get in on this effort as well. This upcoming Friday night, each Touchdowns Against Cancer will be worth $163. So when your Vikings score, that's $163 to go to St. Jude's Hospital.
Yeah, that's as of right now, as of filming this show. Hopefully that number goes up to even more by Friday night. It can. But I'm extremely excited and happy with $163 a touchdown. That is an awesome cause that our kids have really latched onto and fell in love with. And we were jumped up to number 13 in the country for Touchdowns Against Cancer.
Awesome.
We actually won a weekly challenge. The challenge was to see how many players that you could get signed up to get at least $1 pledge for Touchdowns Against Cancer. We won that because we had beat other teams in the country in doing that in that challenge. So our team will get Touchdowns Against Cancer T-shirts with our logos on them. So
awesome,
we'll be rocking those as soon as we get them in.
Such an incredible effort, man. And not only is the Viking family here, supportive of your efforts, but it's amazing at how you're able to get your players to buy into this. And it's such a huge opportunity for them to show their love for their country.
Yes.
And people out there who are suffering with childhood cancer and stuff. It's such a terrible disease. But thank goodness we have efforts like this that are able to raise funds and be able to go out and try to find a cure for this.
Justin, coming off of that Touchdowns Against Cancer campaign, I'd also like to give a shout out and a mention to the Ellie Jean Project.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
The Ellie Jean Project, founded by Brandon Clothier, one of our coaches at New Century Middle School, is designed to build playgrounds and parks for disabled children so they can play like normal children can and have a good time. And they actually have a location set for their first park near the splash pad in Southern Pines.
That's right.
I want to take this time to give a shout out to my wife and some of her friends and family at New Century that got together and raised some money on Friday night for the Ellie Jean Project. They were going around collecting donations and passing out Ellie Jean Project wristbands to raise awareness for this cause and help the Clothier family with their dreams of building this park. So I want to thank my wife and all the teachers at New Century that were involved in that effort.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. It was very special to be able to read through that mission statement and talking about fundraising and raising money for such wonderful efforts, Coach. This Viking community is, I know they're fired up about it. They want to be right there with you guys and any effort that you guys take. So, yeah, shout out to the Clothier family and the Ellie Jean Project. Such a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And, Coach, speaking of this upcoming Friday and touchdowns against cancer and $163 for each touchdown, we will be hosting the South Johnston Trojans at Will Hoyt Stadium. This is homecoming night for your Vikings. So, come on out, enjoy the homecoming festivities. We have homecoming parade this Wednesday, September 20th. It starts at 6:30 for any of your students or anybody in the faculty that's going to be participating in the homecoming parade. Lineup is at 6 o'clock, and I believe it's going to be down here near the John Deere. So go ahead and get down there at the John Deere, 6 o'clock, 6:30 parade time. And so, Coach, the South Johnston Trojans, they are actually coming off a win against a conference opponent, Western Harnett, currently 3-2 record. Have you seen any of their play style?
Yes,
and know what
we
you're
are.
up against?
And I told our kids before Friday night, Justin, we're in for a battle every single night for the rest of this season. We have no games left that we can say, oh, well, that's a win. And really, that's been the motto of this team is fight and finish. So South Johnston Trojans are coming in at 3-2 just like we are. So I expect a hard-fought, tough ball game. A really good team that's coming into Will Hoyt Stadium. So we look forward to hosting them and having a great high school football game on Friday night.
That's right. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, September 22nd is homecoming night at Will Hoyt Stadium, and the Vikings will be hosting the South Johnston Trojans. So, Coach, we're coming to the end of this episode, and as always, we'd like to thank Timeout Sports Grill for hosting us. Gets better every time, Coach.
Yes, Timeout Sports Grill is awesome. We're going to finish up here a little bit early so I can watch my Panthers play.
That's right. Get to hear that growl go across. Hopefully, they'll be in, getting some touchdowns. Yeah, absolutely. We'd like to also thank Texas Roadhouse for sponsoring our Defensive Player of the Week, and then going back and giving Timeout a shout out for our Offensive Player of the Week. And then we'd also like to give a shout out to Timothy Held Photography. We mentioned him last week, Coach, and able to look at some of his pictures once again online. He does a fantastic job.
Awesome job of providing memories for our families and for our players that they can purchase and cherish for a lifetime.
He's such a humble guy too. Had a pleasure of talking with him, before the games, and he's all about Viking football. And Buffalo Wild Wings VIP tent, Coach, this is the third one that we had this past week, and once again another great effort for you to get in and support these Vikings.
3 successful nights at the Buffalo Wild Wing VIP tent. 100 wings, the drinks, all you need, VIP seats in the shade. You don't have to fight crowds down there. So, go ahead and bid on the VIP tent for homecoming week. Bidding will end on Wednesday at noon, and I will be contacting the winners on Wednesday around 1 o'clock so that we can set up your payment and I can get you your VIP passes for homecoming night.
Absolutely. I suspect this is probably going to be the biggest VIP tent
we hope
so far.
We hope that we get into a little bidding war here and raise some money.
There you go, Coach. So, as always, we'd like to thank our administration team at Union Pines High School for supporting us in these efforts. And, Union Pines is a great place to be, Coach.
I absolutely love going into work every day at Union Pines. The faculty, the staff, the administration, so supportive of this program and our efforts and what we're trying to do here. So thank you to those guys that support us and come out and do everything they can for our team.
Absolutely, Coach. And so we're wrapping it up here at Timeout Sports Grill. Getting ready to go watch those Panthers play. Hopefully they'll go 2-0 by the end of this. So, Coach, we'll catch you next week.
That's it. Thank you, and go Vikings.